What if I told you that the greatest king who never existed might have actually lived? Picture this. It's 537 AD. Somewhere in Britain, a warrior pulls bodies from a blood-soaked battlefield. The Saxons have been crushed. But this isn't just any battle. This is Mount Badon. And the man they're celebrating isn't called Arthur yet. Here's the problem. We have zero contemporary records of King Arthur. No birth certificate, no death announcement. Not a single document from his supposed lifetime mentions him by name. And yet, 1,000 years later, his legend had conquered all of Europe. So how does a king who probably never existed become more famous than kings who definitely did? Was Arthur real? Or are we chasing the medieval equivalent of a viral hoax? I'm about to show you evidence that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. Because the truth about King Arthur? It's stranger than any legend. Let's dive in. Before we can answer whether Arthur was real, we need to understand the world he supposedly lived in. The year is 410 AD. Rome has just abandoned Britain after 4 centuries of occupation. Imagine the chaos. The infrastructure crumbles. Germanic tribes, Saxons, Angles, Jutes, start invading from across the North Sea. The Celtic Britons, who'd relied on Roman protection, are suddenly on their own. Britain becomes a war zone, with dozens of petty kingdoms fighting for survival. This period is so chaotic, so poorly documented, that historians literally call it the Dark Ages. And it's in this darkness that Arthur supposedly appears. But here's our central question. If Arthur was real, why don't we have any evidence from his own time? Think about it. The Romans were obsessive record keepers. They documented everything, from military victories to tax collection. Yet not one Roman document mentions Arthur. Not one. The earliest mention of Arthur doesn't appear until 300 years after he supposedly lived. That's like us today writing about events from the 1700s based entirely on oral tradition. So either Arthur is pure fiction, or something fascinating happened to his story. Something that transformed a possible historical figure into the legend we know today. The answer lies in 3 mysterious sources. Our first clue comes from a Welsh monk named Nennius, writing around 830 AD, roughly 300 years after Arthur supposedly lived. Nennius mentions a war leader named Arthur who fought 12 battles against the Saxons, culminating in the Battle of Mount Badon. But here's what's weird. Nennius never calls Arthur a king. He calls him Dux Bellorum, a war leader, a general. Strike one against the legend. Our second source is even stranger. The Annales Cambriae, the Annals of Wales, written in the 10th century. It has just 2 brief entries. Year 516. The Battle of Badon, in which Arthur carried the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. And year 537. The Battle of Camlan, in which Arthur and Medrawd fell. That's it. No round table, no Camelot, no Excalibur, just 2 battles and a death. But the third source? This is where everything explodes. In 1136, a Welsh cleric named Geoffrey of Monmouth publishes Historia Regum Britannia, the history of the kings of Britain. And Geoffrey goes absolutely wild. Suddenly, Arthur isn't just a war leader. He's a king who conquered half of Europe. He's got magical advisors like Merlin, a sword called Caliburn pulled from stone, a court at Camelot with 150 knights sitting at a round table to avoid disputes over precedence. Geoffrey claims he translated this from an ancient book in the British language. Problem is, no one has ever found this book. Most historians think Geoffrey made it up. But here's the thing. Geoffrey's version becomes the version. Within decades, French poets add Lancelot and the Holy Grail. German writers add Parsifal. The legend spreads across Europe like wildfire. By 1485, when Thomas Malory writes Le Morte d'Arthur, the legend is complete. Arthur has gone from a possible British warlord to the most famous fictional king in Western literature. So if we strip away the medieval fantasy, what are we left with? Let's look at what we actually know about post-Roman Britain. Archaeological evidence confirms that there was a major British victory over the Saxons sometime around 500 AD. The Battle of Mount Badon probably happened. Saxon settlement in Britain genuinely paused for about 50 years during this period. Someone organized effective resistance. Someone united the fractured British kingdoms. The question is, was that someone Arthur? Here's where it gets interesting. Multiple locations claim to be Arthur's Camelot. Cadbury Castle in Somerset has Iron Age fortifications that were dramatically rebuilt around 500 AD. Tintagel in Cornwall, where legend says Arthur was born, has 5th century high-status buildings. Glastonbury Abbey claimed to have found Arthur's grave in 1191. But most historians think this was a medieval publicity stunt to attract pilgrims. Then there's the linguistic evidence. The name Arthur comes from the Roman name Artorius. We know of at least one Roman cavalry officer named Lucius Artorius Castus, who served in Britain around 200 AD, 300 years before our Arthur. Could the legend have fused multiple historical figures? A Roman cavalry commander's name, a Celtic war leader's deeds, and centuries of storytelling. Modern historians are split into roughly 3 camps. Camp 1 says Arthur is pure fiction. The literary evidence is too late. The archaeological evidence is too vague. Maybe there was a British victory at Badon, but no single heroic leader. Camp 2 believes there was a historical figure, probably a Romano-British war leader who united several kingdoms to fight the Saxons. Over centuries, his story absorbed other legends and was transformed into the Arthur we know. And Camp 3 takes a middle ground. Even if Arthur never existed as one person, the legend represents real events, the last stand of Romano-British culture against Germanic invasion. But here's the deeper question. Does it even matter if Arthur was real? Because here's what's absolutely true. The idea of Arthur changed history. Medieval kings claimed descent from Arthur to legitimize their rule. Henry VII named his eldest son Arthur to connect his Tudor dynasty to legendary British kings. The Round Table became a symbol of chivalry that influenced European culture for centuries. The legend gave the British people a mythological golden age to look back to, a time when Britain stood united against invaders, when might served right, when honor meant something. And that's more powerful than any historical fact. Whether Arthur was a real 5th century warlord or a composite character doesn't change that his story inspired the code of chivalry, influenced democracy through the concept of the Round Table, and gave us some of the greatest literature in the English language. The quest for the historical Arthur might be like searching for the historical Hercules or Odysseus. Maybe there was a kernel of truth, maybe there wasn't. But the myth itself became real through its impact on culture. So here's what we can say with confidence. Was there a King Arthur who ruled from Camelot with Merlin by his side, who pulled Excalibur from a stone and sat with knights at a round table? Almost certainly not. Was there a British war leader around 500 AD who successfully fought against Saxon invaders and became legendary among his people? Quite possibly. Did someone named Arthur achieve military victories significant enough to be remembered for centuries in oral tradition before being written down? Maybe. The truth is probably somewhere in the murky waters between history and legend. Arthur exists in that fascinating twilight zone where historical memory, cultural need, and literary imagination merge into something new. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's even better. Because the historical Arthur, if he existed, was probably a brutal Dark Age warlord who spent his life covered in mud and blood, fighting desperate battles against impossible odds. But the legendary Arthur? He's immortal. He's the king in the mountains, sleeping until Britain's darkest hour when he'll return to save his people. He represents everything we wish humanity could be: just, noble, brave, honorable. Sometimes legend serves truth better than facts ever could. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're now more informed about King Arthur than 90% of people who claim to know the legend. But this raises another question. If Arthur might not be real, what about other legendary figures we assume are myths? What if Robin Hood was real? What if there's truth behind the legend of El Cid or William Tell? Next week, we're investigating another legendary figure who might have actually existed, and this one is going to blow your mind. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss it. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Arthur was real? And more importantly, does it matter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this journey through history and legend, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more history lovers like you. And if you want to dive deeper into medieval mysteries, check out this video where we explore whether the Holy Grail ever actually existed. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep questioning the legends. This has been Historically Epic. See you in the next one.